Hey everybody, thanks for dropping by. I'd like to read a short story. Today here in Middle Tennessee, we're getting sleet and mixed precip and snow. So uh, you might be hearing a little bit of that, but maybe it'll add to the ambiance. I have other stories on the YouTube channel as well, short stories. The Red Bandana, My Money's on Mama, The Raccoon, and The Property Line. So I hope you'll go back and hear one of those if you like this one. Here we go. Mama helps me keep my word. Mama, you just wait till I turn 18. I'm going to join the army and get out of here, I exclaimed to my mom in a most definitive voice. It was something she'd heard countless times. It was meant as a sort of threat, but I think Mama looked at it as a promise. She was raising three boys alone, and she was tough, absolute, and unforgiving. So much so, I didn't see how an Army drill sergeant could bother me too much. All I had to do was bide my time until then. Mama ran a tight ship, so biding my time while staying out of trouble was no easy task. I remember one time my brothers and I were wrestling around inside the house. This was strictly forbidden by Mama, and we knew it. Before long, we started knocking things over. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but one or more of us fell against Mama's piano. That piano and the area around it was hers. It was one of the few areas in our house, and the whole world for that matter, that was hers and hers alone. She shared the rest of the house with her three growing and rambunctious boys. That piano also represented one of the few joys in her life. Sometimes she would play for hours as we kept one ear out for the selection of songs she played and sang. We could tell a lot about her mood by her song selection. We'd learned that, and it helped us stay out of trouble to some degree. I just hope the drill sergeant played piano. Maybe that skill would come in handy. On that piano rested three ceramic swans that my father had given her one Christmas, and we boys, along with those three swans, were about all she had to remember him by. And that day, while wrestling in the house, we broke those swans. We orchestrated a plan. We had no choice. We carefully glued them back together and hoped they would hold. We almost got away with it too. A few weeks later, as Mama played the piano, we could each see those swans starting to show cracks. She got louder and louder, just as she began the chorus on an old gospel song called I'll Fly Away. I swear those swans tried to fly themselves. However, they never left the piano in flight. Instead, they shattered into 1,000 pieces as they fell all over Mama's piano and into her lap. You've never seen a look like the one she turned on us, and you've never seen boys run any faster. Unfortunately, we'd gotten our speed from her, and she was a little faster. So we each learned a painful lesson that day, one at a time. I also remember one of Mama's many rules as we began to drive cars. She wanted to teach us our boundaries. One by one, as we each turned 16 and earned the privilege to drive, we were given a curfew. Mine was 11 p.m., which I thought was unreasonably early, but it seemed right to Mama, and thus became the law. Here was the deal. She set her alarm for 11:10, figuring to be fair and giving me the 10-minute leeway. I'd have to tiptoe to the alarm clock and reset it for 5:30 when she had to get up for work. If the alarm went off at 11:10, I slept outside. I was always home by 11. My middle brother had more trouble, however, in keeping to his appointed time. Mama was very aware of this, as he spent more and more nights sleeping in his Camaro in the driveway, she decided an old-fashioned come to Jesus meeting with my brother was now required. The next Friday, figuring he'd be late again, she set all his bedroom furniture in the hallway with the help of my youngest brother. She wanted to teach her youngest son early about coming home late. It would save her trouble in the future and teach two boys in the present. She turned out the light and began her wait. My brother came home at 12:30. Mama could hear him fumbling with the lock on the back door. He quietly opened the door and tiptoed in. He was all right until he started down the darkened hallway to his bedroom. After he tumbled and bounced over his bed frame, he hit the dresser head on. Just as he tried to crawl into his room, Mama turned on the light and stated matter-of-factly, "Now let's talk about being on time." Well, the day came when I turned 17 years old, and Mama suggested I should get ready for she and I to take a trip to town. Since it was my birthday, I eagerly got ready for the event to come. Mama was quiet all the way to town, and when I initiated conversation, she had very little to say in response. I could tell she was focused on something, and I could only hope it was something good. We got to town and turned left at the main red light. She pulled into the parking lot next to the dime store. I began thinking it may be a rather cheap present this year. However, we got out of the car and crossed the street away from the dime store and towards the Army recruiting station. I'm only 17, I thought. I was under the impression you had to be 18 years old to join, but Mama knew different. She entered, approached the recruiting officer, and announced I'd like to join the Army. He asked my age and then informed her that she'd have to sign giving permission. She turned and gave me a rather severe smile. She remembered all my threats about joining the Army through the years, and she was more than fed up with them. She signed the papers, then went out to her car and drove away, leaving me to find a ride home. She yelled out of the window as she drove away, "You're in the Army now." High school graduation came and went fairly uneventfully, and in a few weeks I had to report to the Army Induction Center in Jacksonville, Florida. During that time, Mama took every opportunity to give me advice for survival in this great big world. She emphasized the importance of associating myself with the right people. She had demonstrated this through the years, since she had to approve of my friends, or I wasn't allowed to hang out with them. She had no trouble running off the bad eggs, as she called them. The day to report to the Army came, and it was time for me to catch a Greyhound bus bound for Fort Jackson, South Carolina, at basic training. Mama took me to the little store that doubled as a bus station in our small town with plenty of time to spare. I don't know which of us was happier about the day arriving. All I know is, as the bus pulled away from Douglas, Georgia, and into the great unknown, someone commented about a lady running alongside the bus yelling. I knew it was Mama. As I stuck my head out the window, I heard her yell, "You better not get a tattoo!" She shook her fist for emphasis as she made her proclamation. Another thing I knew was the bus driver would have to gain some speed to leave Mama behind. This came from experience. She was both fast and determined and had not even broken a sweat, so I may as well listen to her this one last time. I was possibly headed to the conflict in Vietnam, and she was more worried about a tattoo. I backed out of my window and settled into my seat with a smile. I didn't have to listen to her this time. I was on my way to becoming my own man, and I would make my own choices from now on. Maybe it was partially due to Mama that I did become a man. I received the GI Bill after my Army discharge. and attended the University of South Carolina, receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. I taught special education in the public schools for 34 years and remain grateful to this day that Mama helped me keep my word. I hope you enjoyed that story. If you did, please subscribe, like, comment. I would appreciate comments. Thank you so much and have a great day.